Greetings and thanks for tuning in today. My name is Dr. Jeanette DeWitt. I am a doctor of physical therapy and a medical fitness expert. Today I want to talk about how to lift weights or strength train without hurting. This is a big question that I get is every time I strength train, I get really sore the next day. So let's just clarify soreness. Soreness and pain are two different things. Pain is going to be like sharp, shooting, numbness, tingling type pain. That we should absolutely not experience from an exercise program. Soreness, that is normal. If you are actually training to improve fitness, you can expect to have some mild muscle soreness. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at a 0 to 100 scale. 100 means you are in so much pain you actually go to the emergency room. 0 means no problem at all. I would recommend that you stay in the 0 to 30 and definitely no higher than a 40 range. So 30 would be mild, 40 would be somewhat noticeable. If you stay in that 0 to 40 range, that means that you will not have to alter your normal activity. For example, you feel a little bit sore, but you can still go up and down the steps normal. You can still lift plates out of the overhead cabinet normally. If your arms, your legs, your back, glutes, whatever you have worked on, are not so sore that it impedes you from doing your normal routine. If you experience soreness higher than that, then you selected either the wrong technique, you selected the wrong amount of weight, or you tried a program or a routine that was just too intense for your current level of fitness. So let's go through like 5 tips on how to prevent muscle soreness from a strength training program, or how to basically strength train without hurting. Number 1 is you need to pick the appropriate weight. If you've not lifted weights in a while, if you've lifted for a while and things are getting a little bit easy, I recommend upping the weight or trying very light weights. So for a beginner who hasn't done strength training in a while, I recommend light weights, light resistance. You might even choose to do resistance bands instead of dumbbells. The reason I say that is resistance bands, you get the maximum tension at the end of the range of motion. So it's a little bit easier, a little bit smoother on the joints. For dumbbells, you get the same weight through the entire range of motion. So it's a little bit more difficult or can be a little more challenging. And if you belong to a gym, you could try machines. It's just sometimes machines, they're kind of built for the average 5'9" person, 5'7", 5'9" person. Someone like myself who's 5'2", doesn't always fit into the machine as well as I would like. So I'm a big fan of resistance bands or dumbbells for that reason. All right, so now you have your appropriate resistance or weight. The second tip is going to be technique. You have to make sure you are using good technique. For example, let's just take a bicep curl. A lot of people know what a bicep curl is, but actually a lot of people do the bicep curl incorrectly. When you go to pick up your weights, it starts there actually. You want to bend your knees and pick up the weights, bring them close to your body and lift. So a lot of times people will bring their elbows too far forward or they'll have the elbows way too far back. Your elbows need to be by the side. So when you are lifting, I have 8-pounders here. That may be too much for some people, may not be enough for others. It's just right for me. You want to start down by your side and then come up this way. So if I show you on the front, so I am lining up my body, my elbows are tucked in, my elbows are by my side, my posture is good, my shoulders are down and back, and my head is slightly tucked. So I'm in good alignment. if that started to get heavy, I could actually stagger my stance a little bit just to take pressure off of my low back. I'm also engaging my core and my abdominals as I am lifting. When you go to set down the weights, you want to bend your knees. You can use a staggered stance or a squat position. That's one type of technique, but with any weight program you do, whether it's resistance bands, whether it's in a machine, whether it's with dumbbells, you want your technique to be solid. And if you don't know what technique to do, you need to work with a specialist, whether a certified personal trainer, certified athletic trainer, or a licensed physical therapist. Now, tip number 3 is less is more. That means if you are new to an exercise program, you don't want to try and be lifting crazy amounts of weight. You also don't want to be doing a ton of reps. So what I would say is you start with low weight and maybe one set of 10 or 2 sets of 10. So let's just take another exercise example. All right, I'll take a lateral raise. Again, we want to watch our technique. And I'm going to raise up. This is 5 pounds. That could be way too much for people. If you've never done this exercise, there's actually a little bit of a load on that with the weight of your arms. So start with no weight at all and just go through the motion. If that seems super simple, then add a can of soup. Add a 16-ounce water bottle. Start with 1 pound. I know that seems like, I'm not lifting anything. I would rather you start too low than start too much and then be really sore for the next 2, 3, 4 days. And then you're like, this doesn't work. I always hurt when I work out. No, it doesn't have to hurt when you work out, but you have to start at the appropriate level. So if we look at a lateral raise and we lift the appropriate weight, we should be able to do at least 1 set of 8 to 1 set of 10 with correct technique. This is how you know that the weight is appropriate. If you can do 10 reps, where the 10th rep is just as good in your technique as the first rep, you picked a very good weight to start with. You might have fatigue, but if your form is not breaking down and you feel like you could do another set, or you feel like that was just right, you're good to go. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I could do this all day, then the weight wasn't enough for you. If you feel like on rep number 8 or number 7, whatever it might be, you feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot, you start doing crazy stuff with your form, that rep is too heavy. I want you to always think of quality of movement versus quantity of movement. So that means maybe your goal is to do 2 sets of 10. You do 1 set of 10 and you get to number 6 on the second set of 10. When you get to number 6 and you try to do number 7, your form is breaking down. You actually just need to stop there. You don't want to train your brain to tell your muscles to move incorrectly. You want to train your brain to always use good form. So that's where 1 set of 10 and 1 set of 6 was what you were able to accomplish that day safely. That's really, really important. It doesn't matter that you didn't finish the second set of 10. You're going to work on that another day. Totally fine. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress. We're not looking to crank out the numbers. We're looking to build strength and move forward without risk of injury. Let's look at the next tip. Know why you are lifting. This is another one, like people see each other in the gym, they hear what their friend is doing for a workout, and so they decide to just, pick up that routine. That's not what you want to do. You want to focus on what you want to accomplish with your goals. That's what I always ask my clients, like, what are you looking for in your health? What are you looking for in your resistance training program? The program is going to be completely different for somebody who's just trying to get muscle tone versus somebody who's trying to burn fat versus somebody who's trying to lift for power and somebody who's trying to build normal everyday strength. Those are completely different strength training programs. The way we go about that is going to be different for the power lifter. If you want to think of a bodybuilder or sports like the offensive lineman in football or a wrestler, they need a lot of power. You could even say the same for a sprinter. They need more power because they're trying to power up and run really fast in a short amount of time. That program is different than a person who is trying to gain strength for fitness or gain strength to have increased endurance and increased stamina throughout the day. Also, this last tip here for strength training is going to be sport specific, and it kind of ties in with this previous tip I gave you. A sport specific strength training program is going to be different per sport. A basketball player needs a lot more different strength training than a marathon runner. The same can be true within the sport depending on the season the athlete is in. So the strength training program in a preseason is going to be different than during the season, which is going to be different in the postseason, and also different in the off season. Now, I know I just threw a bunch at you, but it's really important that if you are training for events and you're an athlete, your strength training needs to be cyclical, meaning you need to change your program based on the season you are in terms of your sport, which is very, very different for the endurance athlete who really doesn't have an off season if they don't want one, versus the basketball player who typically has a season from October to April. So you can see there's a lot of variables with the strength training program, and just to go into the gym or just to go and throw some weights together and try and increase strength, you can see where a lot of people can run into trouble and actually injure or hurt themselves, or complain that, strength training isn't for me because I always hurt when I do it. If that sounds like something that's resonating with you, if you struggle with figuring out the right strength training program, I would highly encourage you to either message me or reach out to a personal trainer, certified athletic trainer, licensed physical therapist. I am all of the above, plus I can add some nutrition components, and with that is a fitness nutrition specialist. But reach out and ask questions, get expert help on this so that you can last and endure week by week by week and also reach your goals. And that's ultimately what strength training is all about. Everybody should be doing strength training at least 2 times a week because it increases endurance, it increases stamina, and it actually just helps burn fat as well to maintain a healthy body weight. When you have more muscle mass, you are stronger and you can endure more throughout your day in terms of physical activity. I hope that you find this helpful. If it resonates with you, or if you know someone who could benefit from listening to this, please go ahead and tag them, like this, share it out. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you are struggling or know someone who's struggling, I am happy to start a conversation with you, or I would love an introduction to someone who might be benefiting from my services. So thank you so much. I hope you find value. If you do, go ahead and comment below or direct message me. Thanks a lot.